Welcome everyone to another episode of Fake Grand Order Servant War Room, where I discuss how your favorite servants would handle an actual Holy Grail War. Because you never know, maybe one day you're walking down the street and BAM! A dragon!
愛を知らない悲しき竜、ここに星のようにタック
For this video, I will be discussing none other than the Holy Maiden, the Saint, the Dragon Puncher, Dragon Tamer, Saint Martha. Saint Martha is a 4-star servant in Fate Grand Order, belonging to the first servants that were created for the game. Saint Martha has fit the role of a support rider with a decent NP generation. She'll heal your team, remove enemy buffs, as well as removing debuffs from your allies. Her NP also provides a decent AoE, while also debuffing the enemy, making her an okay option for a support servant. Saint Martha also appears in multiple events, her biggest role being in the first summer event. However, as far as the main plot goes, Saint Martha's only contribution was in Orleans, where she was able to disobey orders from Jalter despite being under mad enhancement, and was able to hide Siegfried. That's right, even if it was only one single action, if not for Saint Martha's actions, we, the Master of Kalia, we would have never defeated Jalter. Saint Martha has no wish for the Holy Grail, and she also has no desire to protect it since it's not the true Holy Grail from Christ. As such, as a servant, she would only function as one so long as her beliefs were not betrayed. This means that if you are a normal person who's just trying to win or survive the war, Saint Martha will help you out without issues. There may be instances where she refuses to act or where she reprimands you, but overall, even then she wouldn't think of betraying you or even killing you. However, if you have the mentality of winning at any costs, then you might encounter a lot of resistance from Saint Martha. Anything that would put the innocent in danger will not be permitted, and the concept of betraying others or backstabs will be reprimanded and refused. If there's an enemy going around killing the innocent, also expect Saint Martha to interfere and to demand you to join her. This isn't to say that Saint Martha is difficult to work with. As I mentioned before, if you're an average Joe, then you should barely have any issues with her. However, if you're expecting a cold killing machine, well, you got the wrong servant. Saint Martha will help those she sees in need, and no matter how much you demand her to play it low, she won't be able to ignore people's suffering. Basically put, Saint Martha is a good person, and since she has no wish, there's no reason for her to bend her own convictions for the war. She'll also be very cordial and exhibit a perfect nun-like behavior around you for the most part. She'll only start exhibiting her true emotions if she trusts you enough to do so. Overall, Saint Martha is a pretty good servant to have. However, to the more calculating people or to those willing to dive into the trash to get the job done, Saint Martha's morals may be difficult to work around. Overall, Saint Martha's stats are a bit all over the place. While her physical stats are in line with an average servant, her non-physical stats are exceptionally high. She has high luck, which can help her against more conceptual type noble phantoms like Gabe Bold, while also having a high mana, meaning that she'll have an easier time using noble phantoms, as well as having some niche defenses against certain skills like Medusa's Mystic Eyes. However, her low physical stats and her overall incapability to fight do mean that she'll be hard-pressed to deal with any fight 1v1. Keep in mind that when I say incapability to fight, I don't mean that Saint Martha can't use her fists or swing her cross, but rather that she's not a trained fighter. Sabers and Lancers, who are specialists in their respective weapons, will in general overpressure Saint Martha as she's not skilled enough to actually pose a threat. Said, Saint Martha's method of attack does not involve her actually physically hitting people. Instead, Saint Martha prays to her cross, and when she completes her pray, the target will light up and be dealt damage, meaning that St. Martha's attacks technically always hit. As impressive as that may sound, they do have the issue of needing her to pray, meaning that if a servant can get up close to her and pressure her, she won't be able to pray, and also her attacks are considered magecraft, meaning that high magic resistance will just shrug them off. That said, this doesn't mean the end for St. Martha. She has many skills that make her tougher than what she looks, and also her noble phantoms do make up for her lack of skill in combat. Overall, St. Martha has 7 skills, a pretty high number to be honest. Her skills can be divided into 2 categories: defensive skills and supportive skills. For defensive skills, St. Martha has magic resistance rank A. As the name suggests, St. Martha has a passive resistance to magecraft, and at its rank, it's no longer resistance, but she outright nullifies magecraft thrown at her. She's essentially immune to modern magecraft, and even more powerful magecraft from the Age of Gods will have difficulty affecting her, making her by default a natural counter to cast it, as well as a counter to any noble phantom that's considered magecraft. Protection of the Faith, rank A. It's a defensive skill that increases both her physical and mental defenses. If you're wondering how St. Martha was able to disobey Jalter 2 times, despite being under direct control, it was thanks to this skill. At high enough ranks, this skill will even alter the personality of its owner, turning them practically into religious fanatics. She also has Miracle, rank D, a skill that allows St. Martha to turn supposed impossible feats into possibility. This skill is mostly a reference to the miracles known at the time that were associated with Christ. Much like in game where she heals and removes debuff, this skill likely recreates the same miracles that Christ performed, such as curing the sick, walking on water, and turning bread to fish. However, considering its low rank, it's unlikely that it can perform any ridiculous feat like resurrection or regrowing body parts, and is likely only limited to the most well-known miracles that Christ performed. For her supportive skills, St. Martha has Riding rank A++. This skill allows her to pretty much mount anything. However, her riding skill is a bit different from others. Normally, the riding skill does not allow the owner to ride dragons. However, in St. Martha's case, even dragons are possible to ride. She has Divine rank C. This skill overall has a very limited use. It does grant its owner special privileges when facing against unique defenses like Protection of the Faith. However, overall, this skill mostly acts as a trait for other skills and noble phantoms. Normally, it's a negative skill to have, as there are plenty of skills and noble phantoms that grow more powerful when against divinity. However, it can also have some niche situation where it's useful, such as when dealing with Achilles. Holy Maiden of the Water Side, rank C, is a passive skill that will activate the moment St. Martha is near a water side. If St. Martha is near a lake, river, or sea, she will receive a boost to her power. While this might sound good, and in general 3 buffs are always welcome, overall, considering how she's not exactly a fighter, this skill isn't something that you would need to prioritize, but it's always good to have. And finally, she has Vow of the Holy Maiden, rank C. It's a skill that removes the buffs of enemies while also lowering their defenses. Unfortunately, they didn't bother to give an explanation to the skill to show what it actually does. However, we can assume at least it can nullify someone's buffing skills. St. Martha also has a total of 2 noble phantoms. Her first noble phantom is Tarask, or Dragon Shield, that shall not let a blade pass. It's a single target defensive noble phantom. St. Martha temporarily summons Tarask's shell around the target to protect them from an incoming attack, pretty much granting them dragon level defense for a short time. A pretty good defensive noble phantom overall. That said, the range of this noble phantom is non-existent, meaning that St. Martha can likely only use it on either herself or someone standing next to her. As for her second noble phantom, O Tragic Drake Who Knew Not of Love, it's the noble phantom you know of in Fate Grand Order, although slightly different. While in Fate Grand Order, Martha summons Tarask and then slams it against her enemies, in reality this noble phantom only summons Tarask. Since Tarask is a dragon and Martha is capable of controlling him, this is a ridiculously powerful noble phantom, and this alone can let her absolutely stump most servants that she comes across. Overall, Saint Marfa is not a fighter, but has good defensive capabilities, as well as an array of useful skills that can let her tilt a fight in her favor. Add in that she can summon a dragon to fight for her, and you have a very powerful servant who, at first glance, feels very mediocre. Every servant has their strengths and their weaknesses. However, Saint Marfa is a rather unique one within them, as she's someone who's very defensive but has a powerful minion to defeat her enemies. Saint Marfa is a servant killer. If you drop Saint Marfa in a Holy Grail War filled with servants, Saint Marfa will completely stomp most of them. Not because of how powerful she is, but because they can do nothing against her. Despite how Fate Grand Order made killing dragons trivial, dragons are still a very powerful type of monster in the Fate universe, and most servants just do not have the means necessary to deal with one. This would be all fine and good if Saint Marfa herself wasn't also so hard to kill herself. With all her defensive skills, plus her defensive Noble Phantom, Saint Marfa is practically as durable, if not more durable than Tarrasque himself. Add in Miracle, and any small injuries she may suffer will be healed immediately, while also cleansing any negative effects. Good at blending in. Saint Marfa's high defenses means that while she might not be an impressive fighter, she'll still be able to hold her ground against most opponents. This means that so long as the fight doesn't prolong for very long, Saint Marfa can fight without needing to summon her trump card, Tarrasque. Couple that with her overall good nature, and Saint Marfa would remain under the radar for most enemies. Even if the enemies know of her location, it's unlikely that she'll become a priority, as her overall performance as a fighter should make most enemies think that she's weak and not worth hunting down. Team player. With Saint Marfa, making alliances should be relatively simple for you. Saint Marfa naturally presents herself as a backline servant that provides support and that can defend herself. This should make you a low priority, but also make you a desirable ally, as you can help out a frontliner like Saber, Lancer or Berserker while seamlessly looking like an easy opponent to deal with once the alliance is over. Too flashy. However, if Saint Marfa at any point summons Tarrasque, then you can say goodbye to any plans you had of playing low. The moment Tarrasque is revealed, every participant will now know you have a dragon, and they will 100% team up against you to defeat you. Selfish stank. While Saint Marfa is practically as durable as Tarrasque, the same can't be said for you. She can only use her defensive Noble Phantom if you're literally next to her, which isn't the best place to be if she's fighting an enemy. Independent. Saint Marfa will act according to her own morals. If she considers that there's an enemy she must stop at all costs, no amount of talking will stop her from summoning Tarrasque and from getting involved. Also, due to her magic resistance, divinity, and protection of the Fate, command seals will have difficulty forcing her to do something against what she believes. Weak to Dragon Slayers. Should I even mention this? Saint Marfa's only offense is Tarrasque. A Dragon Slayer will just kill Tarrasque and turn Saint Marfa into a worse smash. A simple enough strategy to use in the Holy Grail War is to play it low, while also following the flow. If you want to bunker down and not do anything through the whole war, then that will be impossible, as Saint Marfa will go out of her way to help people in need. Don't be surprised if Saint Marfa starts going around the neighborhood helping any homeless she can find by providing them food while also healing them of any illness they might have. As such, your best bet would be to play it low while helping Saint Marfa in her activities to hide her from the public. That said, since she is a Christian, it's likely that even if the rumor of a Christian woman is going around healing the homeless were to appear, it's likely that nothing would come out from it, since it's not exactly a new rumor in most countries where Christianity is present, as most of the population would just shrug it off as some scammer preying on the homeless. Teaming up is also another sound plan. Team up with a Saber, Lancer or Berserker and try to go through most of the war without using Tarrasque. Then, once there's only 2 or 1 enemy left, reveal your trump card and proceed to win the Holy Grail War. Avoid using Tarask at any costs. Giant monsters are a pretty big flag to get gangbanged by every participant. But a dragon? You'll be dealing with every assassination attempt possible, while both Tarask and St. Marth have their hands full of enemies to stop. While Tarask is practically unstoppable to the majority of servants, that doesn't mean that he's invincible. After all, killing you will in turn defeat the servant. The best way to win the war is to not reveal Tarask until it's really needed. If you can win the war without using him, that would be the ideal world. However, if you do have to use it, you better have already dealt with an assassin or archer if you don't want to get assassinated or sniped. Give St. Martha a rank A. Overall, she's a powerful servant that's good at defense and offense. No matter how you cut it, a dragon is a dragon, and being able to grant someone dragon level defense is pretty nuts, and she even has a dragon to boot. Any average or below average servant will have no hopes of dealing with St. Martha outside of exceptional situations. Even above average servants will not have a clean method to deal with Tarask. Outside of Dragon Slayers or powerful noble phantoms like Excalibur, there's very little that can actually stop St. Martha. Add in her natural high magic resistance, and even casters with powerful magecraft have little chance against her. She's also decently agreeable and easy to work with. However, if you're the type to plan every move and squeeze every little resource you have to the limit, then you might have some issues working with her, as she won't cooperate if your actions are in any way considered evil. Her reliance on Tarask to kill enemies is also a pretty glaring weakness. Use it too early in a war and you'll be facing everyone. Even against average servants, if they all team up against you, then there's only so much Tarask and St. Martha can do to keep you alive. In other words, St. Martha is a good servant, but her trump card is so obviously powerful that it's not a question of if other participants will get rid of her by killing you, but how many of them will. And that was St. Martha. To be honest, I kind of expected something a bit different from St. Martha. I mean, there's so many jokes around how she's a boxer or and punches BB and clotheslines and superflexes and all that fighting moves. And yet, surprisingly, she's actually not that strong as a fighter. I mean, she does have multiple forms. I'm not counting her swimsuit version since that's unique to Kalia's system, but she is summonable as a ruler, and I do wonder if in her ruler form she would be more more of a fighter. However, in her rider form, she's not that much of a fighter, which was a bit of a letdown. But hey, it was the defensive noble phantom was kind of something new I didn't know she had. But yeah, it was kind of fun, especially imagining how, running through the possibilities of what she would do, her behavior and all that. So that was a fun video to make. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe, dislike, unsubscribe. You're free to do whatever you want. And hey, if you have any servant that you like to see me talk about and run through a few possibilities on a Holy Grail War, then just comment down below. Give me a suggestion and maybe I'll pick it and talk about it. Till the next video. Bye.